financial and crypto world was stunned 2 days ago.
Америка прямо сейчас пытается поменять правила на рынке золота и криптовалют. Вспомните, какой у них долг. 35 триллионов долларов.
Senior advisor to Russian President Vladimir Putin, Anton Kobyakov, recently sent ripples through the financial ecosystem. Speaking at the Eastern Economic Forum, he accused Washington of plotting to rewrite the rules of global finance by using stablecoins, cryptocurrencies, and even gold to quietly shrink its $35 trillion debt.
В общем-то, это два альтернативных валютному сегменту мировых рынка. Действия Вашингтона в этом направлении отчетливо демонстрируют одну из главных американских задач. Они очень хотят решить проблему снижения доверия к доллару. США, как это было и в 30-е, и в 70-е годы, будут решать свои финансовые проблемы за счет всего мира, загоняя всех куда? В криптовалютное облако. Со временем, когда часть госдолга США будет размещена в стейблкоинах, США обесценит этот долг. Еще раз простыми словами, у них сейчас валютный 35-триллионный долг, они его загоняют в крипту, в облако, обесценивают и начинают с нуля. Это для тех, кто очень любит заниматься криптой.
Now it concerns you, ladies and gentlemen, your financial life if you are living on this planet. Pay attention. In a long presser on Tuesday, Kobyakov mentioned how this would be done, and his views are not very far-fetched. We shall explain you how. We've all seen how dollar's status as an international reserve currency is being challenged time and again, primarily because of its rising debt, rising US debt. Also sanctions and trade wars. But now, United States, the biggest financial heavyweight in the world, seems to have found a solution, an innovative one rather. At the core of this development is Donald Trump's Genius Act. Trump's Genius Act forces all US stable coins to be fully backed 1:1 with treasuries or cash, with public audits and strict compliance. Now, what does that mean? It's very significant. This means that every dollar of stable coins minted equals a dollar of US government debt being purchased. You heard that right. Stablecoin issuers like Circle get to keep the yield on those treasuries, currently around 4%, as their business model suggests. Now, the government doesn't print more money. Pay attention. The government doesn't print more money or raise taxes. Instead, private firms fund US debt in exchange for risk-free profits. It's like outsourcing the global distribution of US debt to crypto companies who wrap it in digital dollars and export it worldwide. The bottom line is that United States is backing these stablecoins with dollars. Like dollar earlier was backed by gold, which was delinked in 1971. Now this is how it gets interesting. The US has a $35 trillion debt pile. Servicing that debt gets easier if there are more buyers of these treasuries. By making stablecoins legally tied to treasuries, the US very smartly just guaranteed a new class of demand. So at 100 billion or $1 trillion in stablecoins, well, that's 100 billion or $1 trillion of treasuries bought or absorbed. Now, the coin wrapped in dollar can be exported worldwide, which eventually means, ladies and gentlemen, exporting US debt to other countries. Meanwhile, stablecoin issuers earn billions in yield, and the US extends dollar dominance by making digital dollars the backbone of global payments. Now, for countries like Russia and China and other US rivals, this very particular development looks like financial warfare disguised as innovation. Why? Ladies and gentlemen, stablecoin becomes dollar proxies, tightening the US grip over global trade. Private firms profit, but the US government reduces its financing cost. Rivals, reserves and assets are forced into a system that quietly devalues their holdings. Now, if you look at from Moscow's perspective, Washington isn't just building a new payment rail. How? It's rewriting the rules of international financial system without IMF, G20 or any other gold-backed alternatives. How? You see, if treasuries yield 4% but inflation runs at 5%, the US is effectively paying back less in real terms. Its debt gets serviced on paper, but the true cost to the lender shrinks every year. Stablecoin issuers and foreign buyers eat the inflation losses while Washington quietly wins. You need to understand, ladies and gentlemen, US has always been at the receiving end of criticism that it continues printing money, continues raising its debt ceiling. Now this isn't printing money and this isn't raising taxes. It's a structural way to devalue debt over time. The dollar just doesn't remain dominant, it evolves into a digital form faster than rivals can respond. US debt becomes easier to sustain even at a massive scale. The Genius Act proposed by Donald Trump didn't just regulate crypto, it engineered a way for private companies to funnel global capital into US treasuries, lowering borrowing costs while extending the dollar's reach. Now, critics like Kobyakov see this as manipulation, supporters of this act see this as brilliance. What it really means is that America just turned stablecoins into a financial weapon and the world will have to decide whether to adopt it, resist it, or build their own alternatives. This would be a very interesting development as eventually this would also impact our loans, our lives, our home loans, our auto loans.